Welcome back to another episode of Miniature Mashup, guys. I appreciate you tuning in, as always. You know, it's great to have miniatures of monsters and warriors and mythic demons and all kinds of things of this fantasy nature, but if we're talking about a medieval fantasy society, gotta have miniatures of animals. Even in the Mines of Phandelver, which is sort of the beginning box set of 5th Ed, it's not long before you're given a couple of carts with pulled by donkeys or horses. I'm actually kind of amazed that Wizards of the Coast puts out animal miniatures at all, because there are so many options out there. You can get this great cat for $24. It is the ugliest thing in the world. It looks like Garfield was caught in a gamma bomb blast.
Hulk Smash Mondays!
Cheap options for miniatures. Now, I did get this animals bucket from Terra, from Target. If you got it before Christmas, sometime before Christmas, they actually had an online coupon. If you texted TOYS, you got this for 20% off, which made it $6, $7. As you see, it has a couple of little peepholes you can peer in if you ever wanted to feel like a voyeur while looking at plastic animals. Let's take the lid off of this thing. It's only held on with cellar tape, so no problem. And we've got them in a big pile. Let's sort them out and see what's in here. It's 60 pieces. So first up is the good. I like all of these. Everything you're looking at in this first batch, I think, are perfect for tabletop gaming. As you see, you get 5 of every animal. First up is this little bear, who's detailed enough. I mean, it's not great, but what do you want? It's a bear. You know, they're hairy. He's got a face. He's got little feet. Can't really ask for much more. And then we've got these elk. And this elk, you know, you might not think you'd be able to do much with that, but they make great mounts for wood elves or wood elven rangers. Now, the zebra, what we're going to do on today's craft is we're going to repaint these, and we're going to turn them into donkeys. And you can see, they are the only one that has this big sort of serial number on the side, but we're going to take that off of the Dremel tool before we paint them. And there are a lot of big cats in this set. The paint job on this is absolutely ridiculous. Like, these spots, clearly these cheetahs were like sort of put up to a grate with holes in it, and then the black was just sprayed on. But the level of detail on the cheetah and this lion is pretty great. I mean, they just need paint jobs. And also you have tigers. Now they're all about the same size, which of course in reality they're not. I really like these apes because there's a ton of ape-type monsters in D&D, and these are already spooky looking. They don't really need any work. I would just glue these to a base, and I think you're good to go. Now, if you're going to do any kind of Al-Qadim thing, or just have traders, I mean, you could just have a camel. You don't really need to have a reason. This camel's a pretty good scale, and he might be a tiny bit small. I'm not sure. Now, this next batch are what's not so good in the animal bucket from Terra. Just to give you an idea of scale, here's a tiger and an elephant, and you'll notice that they're roughly the same size. You'll notice that our human being stands much taller than our elephant, which is fine for the cat. It's still a pretty damn big cat. If you put it on its hind legs, it's going to be taller than the guy. And same thing with this bear. It's about the size of a man, so it's not a huge bear, but finding big bears isn't that hard. But a hippo and a rhino and even the giraffe, they're just not big enough to work in a 28mm scale. Another reasonably priced option for horses is the horse's tube. If you're going to get that, of course, print out that 50% coupon that they almost always have available at Michael's and get that tube for $5. Today we'll be making a long cart, which is something you would see on a farm back in the olden days. It's designed to haul hay. We're just going to make our model based on that. It's going to have 2 ladders on the side. First, I take some of those fat popsicle sticks, those fat craft sticks. I'm going to take 5 of those, and I'm going to cut 4 inches in length, and I'm going to make sure they're all even. And then we're going to glue them together side by side, and then we're going to glue these 2 other sticks going perpendicular, and we're going to cut them so they're also even with the other ones. Now I'm going to take my Dremel drill attachment and drill 4 holes. I'm just eyeballing this. They're an inch apart. The important thing is just that they're even. I'm going to have them just off the margin, off the side of the cart, and then we're going to take our dowel rod and we're going to cut it into 4-inch long sections. The easiest way I found to cut these little wooden dowels is with my Dremel tool. Even though this is a metal cutting tool, it eats through that little wooden dowel pretty quickly. Trying to do it with scissors can kind of be a pain in the butt. Now we're going to stick all 4 of our little inch long dowel rods into these holes. I'm going to hot glue them in place. So I'm going to put all the hot glue on this other underside, and because this underside isn't going to be visible when the model's complete, you can use as much hot glue as you like. As you can see, it's not too pretty down there, but it doesn't have to be. And then we're going to take our sort of standard sized popsicle stick, craft stick, trim the edges off of that. We're going to make it the same length as the cart, so it should be 4 inches long. We're going to use 4 of these to sort of make the ladders or the sides of the cart, and we're going to glue them on either side of these wooden sticks. Now, you don't have to put them on the inside. I'm doing it because it looks nicer. You could certainly just use 2 of these sticks and put them on either side. It'd be a little bit rougher looking with the wood and the glue inside that, but certainly would be passable. I wouldn't cast judgment on you if you decide you want to speed this process up a little bit. I'm going to make the sort of seating area just wide enough. I'll measure that out, and we're going to leave enough room for miniatures to stand on this part of the cart in the front. But we're going to separate where the cargo will go in the back here, and it's just another one of those wide craft sticks. We've cut it to a certain length, and we're going to glue that down. Now for the wheels, I'm using a couple of wooden checkerboard pieces. I've got a bunch of these. Drill a hole through that with my Dremel. We're going to run a dowel through that to be our axle. Of course, this thing doesn't move. It's just, you know, for replication. It just looks nice to have the little wooden dowel sticking out of the side. We're going to take 2 more of our little wooden dowels, and we're going to put them underneath, attached to our donkeys like this. And now here's the whole thing assembled, more or less, but without any paint, without anything being permanently glued. Of course, before we begin to work on the donkeys, we are going to take our Dremel tool and get these serial number things off their side. For some reason, they couldn't stick that underneath. They had to put it where it was really conspicuous, so I got to chop those off. And we're going to hot glue their feet onto our base. Our base, I believe, is 4 by 6 inches. The size doesn't really matter. I made this cart really big. It's probably slightly unrealistically large. You might want to make a smaller cart if you're going for realism. But I like this because you can put a lot of minis on it. It just works right. You can get easily 2, maybe even 3 minis in the front and a whole bunch of party members in the back. Now we're going to make our cart with donkeys and not horses because donkeys and mules are, I think, 8 gold out of the player's handbook, and horses are 75. And if you're playing for any amount of time, your animals will die. Yeah. 1 fireball and it's an all-you-can-eat Mongolian barbecue buffet. There's only 1 donkey I know who survived encounters with ogres and dragons. If your DM puts that one in your party, feel free to kill him yourself. Oh, come on, guys. We're making waffles. And, of course, I'm using electrical wire to be sort of the leather harnesses that are going to go around our beasts here. And I'm just sort of tying those up, and then I'm going to glue them up. And you see I sort of make an assembly out of 2 wires here, one tied to the other, and then we're just going to secure it all with hot glue. This project is almost entirely powered by hot glue. I don't think there's a bit of E6000 in it. It's sort of the benefits of building with largely wood and really light materials. I get some crafter's sand underneath on our base, and we apply that with our watered down white craft glue. And I've spread that around nice and evenly with another one of our wooden dowels. I've primed this with gray primer, and now we're going to apply a couple of base coats. I'm using a sort of a light brown on the cart and a darker brown on the soil. And we're going to coat that evenly. And you can see gray donkeys and brown soil and brown cart. You can stop painting here if you like. You don't need to take it any further. You've got yourself a cart for your miniatures. I don't think anyone would judge you if you stopped here. But I am going to keep going. I dry brush lemonade onto the wood to bring out the wood fibers, give it a nice stressed look. Looks like it's been sun bleached, it's been used, looks a little aged. I'm going to take some black paint to sort of bring out the spikes on the side of the cart, make it look like it's been nailed together. Fairly effective technique, adds a little detail for the eye, you know, something else to focus on. And we're going to dry brush a lighter brown onto our soil, of course, to break that up. You don't want to just have a solid color. You really want to make those individual grains pop by dry brushing a lighter brown onto it. And of course we're going to do our burrows in brown, and we're going to do their little muzzles in a sort of a creamier, lighter color, and I'm going to get that same color around the eye. We're going to do their manes and tails in black, and I'm going to put a little black in their eye. And that's about it for them. They really don't require much work. And I guess I get their hooves as well. Of course, we're going to paint the underside of their bellies and get inside their mouths. We're going to paint the harness on them black. And we're going to dry brush a lighter brown onto their backs just to give it a little sense of highlighting, of light hitting them on the back and to give them a little extra detail. And we're going to paint some highlights and some lowlights onto our base as well using a different lighter color. I'm just going to put some dots here and there to break it up to be bits of shell or just lighter rocks. And I'm also going to use black and do the same thing. Again, we just want to break it up. It's a little too monotonous. Then, of course, the very last step is to hot glue some plants, some scenic plants, onto the base because it is a large base and would look a little odd without something to break it up.